Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Sedona Senior Sit Down podcast series with Maggie Moyer and April Hillesheim with Sedona Care Communities, your go-to conversation for everything retirement living. We want to welcome our guest, John.
So, John, we have had the pleasure of working together through placing your loved one in our Pioneer home. So why don't you start by telling me just a bit about yourself and about the situation that was kind of at hand that we navigated together while we were placing
Sure.
him at Pioneer.
In my particular case, this gentleman and I were friends for a number of years.
Yep.
Knew him through the fire service, and we hadn't directly worked together, but I worked on the historic side of firefighting, and he was in suppression. He was actually a platoon chief for over 30 years, and we got to know each other. And I was much younger. And sadly, a lot of his closer friends or people that were directly involved either got ill or passed away.
Right.
So I kind of went up in the totem pole, I guess you would say, and found myself as basically the sole power of attorney.
Yeah.
Because there's no really other living relatives left.
Right.
So it fell to me.
Yes.
And sadly, you slowly see a decline. I guess on some level you're, okay, yeah, it's just maybe aging. And then you see the little bit unsettling trends start to develop in terms of memory loss and cognitive, and someone that was extremely smart on top of things. You see the decline.
Absolutely, right? And you have a very unique situation because I think in most cases that we see, we're dealing with a family member, a daughter, a son. But in this case, you were somebody that had to step in just for somebody that you had had a friendship with for many years. So can you walk us through kind of what was happening and how you were navigating that? And then when we really started to realize, wow, like we've reached a crisis point and something needs to be done.
Well, yeah, and the thing was, it was the slow progression that sadly kind of accelerated.
Yeah.
So what was happening was there would be general memory loss, and I would start to have some concerns, and he would call me, and it's like, oh my gosh, I was going to go to the bank, and then I wasn't exactly sure how to get there, and it's like, oh, this is getting worse. The signals like that, and then just I found myself more and more in a supportive role of making sure that simple tasks like groceries, bills were being paid. And the property was in a serious state of decline, and sadly, I couldn't address that at that point. But it was like, and it's unfortunate because for a time during COVID, he wasn't going to the doctor, but then I got him back into this family doctor. Family doctor was involved, but as everybody knows, it's kind of a slow process.
Right.
So we were due for geriatric assessment, but it was just the level of decline was getting there. And then he fell.
Right.
That was the crisis point.
That was a turning point.
That was the turning point.
Yeah.
So, and in that moment, then I guess, how did it feel having to step in and, quickly make decisions after his fall?
Well, yeah, it was like, and part of you is like, it's almost like a train wreck that at some point is going to happen, and it's terrible feeling because at some point you're going to deal with this.
Right.
You don't know in what form, but it's going to happen. Yeah. So when that happened, my initial thought was, okay, well, yeah, we have to get medical intervention and that type of thing. And he was hospitalized at that point. And I knew once he left the home that it was not the environment. He could not go back to that environment. I knew that was not an option.
Right.
Because I had tried initially to support him through home care, and it just was not working well. Because the cognitive decline was to the point where the level of home care that we were getting, it wasn't at the level that he would require. And we couldn't get fast enough to the levels that we needed to be at.
Yeah.
And it was a rather quick decline.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I know we kind of navigated the situation together once we had connected through Sedona.
Well, yes, yeah.
And I think obviously at that point when we had met, and if you're comfortable about me talking about the situation a little bit, and we'll keep obviously the privacy intact there,
Sure.
but as the power of attorney, like, did you feel a lot of pressure when it almost became urgent at that point, right?
Well, it's interesting, not interesting, it was stressful, but how things ebb and flow. Because my thought, and I guess I was somewhat naive, I thought once he was hospitalized, the system would work to get him to long-term care or to get him to the level of care that he required.
Right.
And again, I don't want to throw or cast aspersions, but whatever, but there were certain aspects of the initial discharge before Maggie was involved that there was gaps and things were not well handled.
Yeah.
And information that I received as power of attorney was not totally either his decline was more rapid than what they were precipitating, or there was just not things that didn't work out.
Yeah.
So the long and the short of it is there was a discharge plan in place that did not support the level of care that he needed.
Yeah, and I think we talk, April and I discuss this all the time because April also goes out into the community to do assessments from like a nursing perspective. And I think one of the things we talk about frequently is transparency,
Yes.
right? Like when it really comes down to it at the end of the day, if there is, say Chapel Heights only had one independent living bed left and we met somebody who is very, very high care,
Right.
having the conversation with the loved one to say, we're not going to be able to provide that care right now is a better conversation to have than to try and turn it into something that it's not. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, the resident suffers, right? And that we want them to be successful.
Yes,
so,
absolutely. Yeah. And the thing is, we project outcomes based on the best information at the time that we have.
Yes, absolutely.
And when we are told that no, just he's only in the earlier stages of the dementia, with direction, there should be fine. And I actually looked at Pioneer at the time, and thought, oh my gosh, this looks like a really great facility. As well as I'd looked at some other memory care, not physically, but just online, trying to do my due diligence. And I was told by the discharge planner that, well, yeah, those are very good, but you really don't need that level. Retirement home with assistance will support. So I thought, okay, taking the direction from the expert.
Yeah.
Or what I thought was the expert at the time, and went with a discharge plan.
Yeah.
Because I knew there was a facility that had tiered care, and I thought, okay, well, as he declines, then we can reach the tiered care. But as Maggie knows, it all went sideways very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, what's unique about our properties in a specific retirement living is, Pioneer is specific care for dementia, and
Exactly.
Chapel Heights is, a combination of independent, supportive, and enhanced full care. So it's a nice alternative to, a long-term care placement, because we know that right now in the area is a challenge to get into. So we're a nice alternative that offers a level of care and specialty in that moment.
Sure.
So just, John, looking back, when you were seeing all of the different signs, was there anything specific that you noticed that, it was heading into more of a crisis mode before his fall, or was the fall the breaking point?
Ultimately, the fall was the breaking point, but there were the signs that basically, where there were areas that you would be concerned about, personal hygiene. He was always a collector, but then the collecting evolved into more hoarding, which was because he wasn't making good decisions in terms of what should be gotten rid of.
Right.
So you were seeing that, and you were seeing the red flags in that respect. So there were things that were coming up, and then, I was hopeful that by getting him back into the medical system with the geriatric assessment, that we could move down that pathway. But things just kind of spiraled, really, in a sense. I guess on some level, there's the warning signs, but there's always the thought that, because at times this person would be fairly cohesive.
Right.
Or coherent, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And it'd say, oh gosh, house is getting messy. I got to clean this up. I got to get rid of some of that. I got to get rid of this stuff. Or I should be eating better food. So you were seeing signs, and then he'd say, oh God, he says, my mind is shot. He says, I don't know what. So you'd say, okay. So again, now the average person never having navigated this,
Yes.
you're just basically going by your instincts and your experience. I experienced it on a different level with my mother-in-law, but that was totally different. It wasn't the level of dementia, but just, cognitive decline, ended up medically, in a care facility. But the average person doesn't have the experience. They don't know. They've never, unless they've been down this road, you don't know.
No.
And the system's changing, because what I thought was a system in place where someone would go into long-term, or go into a hospital that couldn't potentially be discharged. Maybe there's transition beds. Well, that doesn't exist anymore. The transition bed is probably in a retirement type or facility, a different type, alternate facility, but not within the healthcare system.
Right. And I know, obviously, like through this whole situation that we had with your loved one, you probably navigated a lot of emotions.
Oh, yeah,
given the urgency of the situation at the time. But tell me a little bit about how it impacted you specifically emotionally during that time.
Well, yeah, because again, it's like it becomes a bigger and bigger part of your life.
Right.
So
a huge responsibility.
Yes, because where before it was maybe like a weekly check-in, or just, okay, well, do you need something? Well, how can what can we do? Or we'll go have a coffee, or go have lunch. It becomes more of hands-on.
Yeah.
There's bills to pay. There's property to maintain. There's other aspects of the cognitive decline that aren't being taken care of. So all of a sudden, it's uppermost in your mind, like, okay, what's going on today?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it becomes a check-in, regular check-in. Oh my gosh, are you taking your pills today? You got enough food? We'll get groceries in a day or so, but are you okay for now? Is there anything what's going on?
Yeah, the supportive check-in can sometimes turn into the crisis safety check very quick.
Yes,
right.
Very quick.
And then it causes worry, right? Because you don't want to see them decline or be in an unsafe situation, and then you're carrying the weight of that, right? Like there is that responsibility.
I had concerns about the situation being unsafe, but again, where a person is still somewhat independent and in denial.
Yes.
It's hard to fight that.
Absolutely. Yeah, agree.
So John, did you notice any challenges that he faced before the move into Pioneer Elder Care? Like, did you notice that there was, any struggles with moving in, or was it beyond that point?
Well, I guess are you talking about the initial discharge?
Yeah, leading up to moving into Pioneer Elder Care. Like, did you notice that there was any hesitation from him, or was he nervous, or was it more of at that point?
Well, and part of the cognitive decline was his loss, because he was fiercely independent.
Yes.
And his home was his castle.
Yes.
And all his prized possessions were in his home. By the time he'd got into the hospital, that was somewhat lost. And he was starting to, where he felt a comfortable niche, he was starting to nest, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
So where he was finding himself, I guess I lived somewhere before, but this is my setup now.
Yeah.
And Maggie saw that in after the initial discharge, where he was taking ownership of that space.
Yeah.
And there was of course challenges with that, but so again, it's just there's different levels of challenge as you progress through this.
Yes, for sure.
And then I guess with that, because when we met, he had already been initially placed somewhere.
Yes.
Do you feel that if maybe you had help earlier that was a more appropriate fit for him, we could have avoided the level of urgency that you were feeling as the POA?
I think so.
Yeah.
There was a combination of things that went wrong.
Totally.
And I think some of it, again, there was medication that was not prescribed on discharge that probably should have been.
Right.
Which might have mitigated some of the issues. But again, soon after he went to the other facility, he came up with a urinary tract infection, which also impacts behavior, impacts various things.
Very much so.
So that created a new sense of urgency and a new sense of crisis at that point.
Absolutely.
And the facility he was in was not equipped to deal with that.
No.
They do have a care wing, but there was no room there. It was basically supported living in a retirement home, which in hindsight was far less than what he should have had.
Required,
And
yeah.
he required, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that created a new sense of urgency once he was there.
Totally. Yeah, I agree.
Now, I know this is a big question for anyone that has the next stage where their loved one's going to be moving into a retirement home.
Right.
But for you and your loved one, once he moved into a more supportive environment,
Yes.
how did things change for the both of you in your relationship?
Our relationship didn't really change in terms of how we interacted, because on the level, I don't really think at this point. He did before he understood that I was very much involved, because when he was still at home, he said, "Oh my God, I don't know how I'd function without you coming on a daily basis." But once he got into the system, for lack of a better word, or
Yes.
the retirement home environment, I think the caregivers and the supportive people were more his, because he was seeing those regularly, and he was remembering me and remembering me as a friend.
Yes.
But I don't think he was seeing that, okay, well, yeah, you helped me get here.
Yes.
You took care of this. You set this up. I don't believe, to my understanding, I don't think there's any connection there.
I would agree. Yeah. I think that's when we were moving him in and we were working together. I think that's a conversation that we had a few times, was what was going to be the best way to navigate without that person viewing you in a negative light, right?
Yes.
Because sometimes there is negative emotions around it. And
Yeah.
they think they're losing their sense of independence and autonomy, and that's not the case.
No.
But in this specific case, John and I had discussed him being a bit more distant in the beginning, just so that establishment of the connection with our staff and really getting comfortable.
Yeah.
Then when John came to visit, John was able to come and visit as a friend.
Yes,
right?
and that actually worked out very well.
Yeah.
And Maggie and I worked very well, I think, behind the scenes, setting up an environment, because to me, seeing how he reacted, he was very possessive of certain things that he would equate to his life.
Yeah.
So I said to Maggie, I said, we have to set his room up so that he will see things he's familiar with, especially things with his name on it, anything that is a commendation or a praise or anything that he sees, oh, that's me.
Yes. It reminds him.
It reminded him. And so we set the room up that way.
Yeah. And that's really benefited him.
There's commendations from the province for long service. There was the retirement recognition from Well and Fire, all that stuff with his name on it.
And that's the emotional piece, I think, that's really helpful for that transition from living independently to going into a retirement home. But just in terms for you, John, how did that make you feel with him being cared for in a retirement setting? Like, did you feel less stressed that you had to be looking out for him at home, going to make sure he's got groceries and this and that?
Oh, yes. I mean, I joked, like, I obviously want what's best for him, but to a certain degree, I want my life back.
Absolutely. Yes.
Because, I still work part-time. I still have, my wife and I, we want to do some traveling. She's retired now. I'm semi-retired. So you want to make sure that they're in the best place possible and the best care possible that suits what they need, but also that you can take a step back in terms of not worrying about the day-to-day activities, because that's going to be taken care of.
Absolutely.
It wasn't initially.
Initially, yeah.
But now
that they're at Pioneer.
now I'm in a good place, because it's like, okay, there's an issue. This is what we're doing. Just keeping you in the loop. Not a panic situation. Well, oh no, we got a problem. You got to do this. You got to do that. And it's like that. What should have been the initial became even higher level of stress, in a sense, than when he was in his house, because he was in the wrong place.
No, absolutely. So if we were sitting here right now, say with somebody that was thinking about putting their loved one into a retirement home, and knowing obviously the crisis that you went through and that stress and pressure that you felt as the power of attorney, what advice would you give to somebody who's saying maybe their loved one is not quite there yet?
Well, do your due diligence And you also have to be thinking one step ahead. Because sadly, once you start down this road, it doesn't get better.
Right.
So, you really have to make the determination what's the best level of care, and not just for today, but what's going to be the level of care over the next periods of months or a year, because they may be able to be supported in the short term initially.
Right.
But what about down the road?
Right. And that's what we've talked about this before too, but April and I really pride ourselves in the roles that we're in, because Sedona has always had the concept that you can age in place, right?
Sure.
We have all different demographics come to us. We have very different levels of dementia and Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
But the most important part in all of that is that they can stay with us until the end moments of their life.
Sure. And that's, and it's interesting because I had a call from the long-term care. They do their
assessment.
Their assessments.
Yep.
And they actually, the nurse that I spoke to had actually mentioned that how there was someone in one of your facilities that became eligible for long-term care and declined it because they were happy and content where they were.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've had many situations with that. And I think the nice thing, I'll speak on Pioneer specifically because that's where I am right now, but Pioneer, it just does provide such that home-like environment for people. And it's a little bit, I think it's just comforting at the end of the day, right? Like some people don't want to send their loved one to long-term care after they've been at Pioneer for a long time. And I mean, I have seen it firsthand how well your loved one is, succeeding in the home that he's in, and he's doing so much better than when I had first met him, and had a lot of positive.
You ultimately want the best possible outcome.
Yes, absolutely.
And the supportive nature that you get, and it's critical that, it's all about routine.
Yes.
And when there's disruption, it's not a good thing for elderly or people with dementia or various things. They seem to do best in a routine that they're comfortable with.
I agree. Routine is everything.
It is. And that's where they can get into that, and then they feel comfortable in themselves.
Yes.
And I see that when I go to visit now, and it's like he's, showing me around, I mean, I'm just like,
that's his place.
That's his, and then he says, this is my room. This is it. And he says, he says, they keep the floor so clean here. It's beautiful.
I love that.
And he likes
very
to
proud.
He likes to sit in that front window. He loves to sit there, and he looks at the screen. He's just in his own world of contentment.
Yeah.
And
that I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that for a long time.
Yeah.
And that makes me feel good.
I'm glad.
That's amazing. That makes us feel good.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's what it's all about ultimately, right?
It is, definitely.
And that's what I say. I can sleep at night and not,
And that's a win.
And that's a win. And and I mean, sometimes the road is not always the direction. It isn't always straight.
No,
it's
never
curved.
linear.
But at the end of the day, when you get to a place where you say, okay, this is where it's meant to be. Finally, he's home.
Yes.
And that's critical to me for my peace of mind. But it's also critical for him because he's happy he's
thriving.
For lack of a better word, in a happy place, right? He's happy with things, and we all have I'm sure there's always the challenges of little things there, but you have to look at the big picture.
Yeah.
And that's the impact I think we both love to hear, because we hear it a lot from family and our residents. So, so just to finish things off here with questions, John.
Just one thing I wanted to say too, and I don't know where you are at the stage in questions because I don't.
Okay.
I've had a lot going on, but I did want to say how impressed I was when I was in crisis. He was in the other home, and here I am. I'm told I've got to get extra. I've got to get extra care. What do I do?
Yeah.
And bless Missy.
Yes.
She picked up the phone when I called.
Great. Yes.
And we talked.
Yes.
And I explained the situation. And she said, no. She said, this is something we work with. You need to come. I said, okay. We need to do this soon. Okay. Because I'm forced with getting extra care, which is very expensive.
Yeah.
But the process from when I connected, I could see, okay, there's a pathway here.
Yes. Yeah.
And it was quick. You know, how often do you call places and, oh, well, you get on hold or people call you back or whatever. But she picked up the phone. We had a good conversation. Initially, I came, that was a Friday. I came on the Monday and met Maggie. Maggie put me at ease that, okay, this is what we deal with. We have facilities. And again, it wasn't a total straight because we had the issues with it ending up back in hospital. But just wanted to say that it was such a relief knowing that there was someone out there.
Yeah.
And a place out there that, okay, yeah, this is where I believe this is where he's meant to be.
Yeah, it's all about that human connection too,
Yeah.
right? Like it's when you can connect with somebody on a human level and have an honest conversation and know that we genuinely are. We're both nurses, so we're here to support you. And
Yes, absolutely.
I hope that you felt that throughout your
Well,
experience.
yeah, and that's what I say. And I mean, ultimately, it was ironic because Maggie and I had a connection that we didn't even know about.
Yeah,
I love that.
And it was just, you know, when we finally established that, it was, again, another level of relief.
Yes, absolutely,
Basically, it's just that you're not alone.
absolutely. Yeah.
And that's the feeling you get at certain points in the process. And that's the feeling I had, sadly.
Yeah.
And you just feel like the walls are closing in on you. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, you're trying to support this person, and it's just
Obstacles in the way.
there's
Sometimes.
obstacles in the way. And when you've got a team that will step in and negotiate those obstacles, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
it's good. They got this. We can do this, you know.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you felt that way.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah.
Yeah, no, this has been great. I haven't heard your story because I'm at our other
sure.
property, but it's been lovely to hear the whole process and that it was positive. So thank you so much for talking with us about that.
And well, thank you for taking good care of John. Yeah.
But just, one last thing. We just want to know who's made the biggest impact on your life?
That's it. I know you mentioned that earlier on. That's a bit of a challenge. There's been a few people. Ultimately, I guess we go back to, you know, in your early years, when I was looking at, like my father was a medical doctor.
Yes, I remember you saying that.
So I think, you know, and the medical profession back in that day was much different than it is now.
Totally. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of that they took home.
Yeah.
The phone calls.
did,
the
yeah.
phone calls in the middle of the night.
Yep.
Yeah. Very, very demanding.
Very demanding because the doctors at that time not only saw patients, they had hospital privileges.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you see that and you see this person that's out there and they did a lot different, you know, it's just because, again, the doctors now will tell you it's just medicine was practiced differently back in the day than it is now. So on some level, just seeing them negotiate through that system, that's certainly one that, you know, and I guess you try and internalize some of those values
Yeah,
of
absolutely.
care and looking out for people and helping people
Yeah.
and doing the best you can.
Yeah.
And I've always done a lot of giving back, a lot of volunteer work in my life. So I guess that would certainly be one that would have had, you know, there's several.
Yeah. But that's the one that sticks out.
That's the one, I guess, because it's the closest, the one that hits home, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
no, that's nice. Very nice. So thank you so much, Sean, for the
Thank you. I'm glad
conversation
it was-
today. Thank you for everyone listening. We hope that you took something away from this conversation that will be impactful in your life and any decisions that you have upcoming. The link to our Sedona Care community properties will be below. So please check out any information about Chapel Heights and Pioneer Elder Care. Thank you.
Thank you.